Ito fatas mailwali makilunga imot for secondary school. Moving on with our program, let us invite the Deputy Head of UNESCAP, Pacific Office and Office Economic Officer, Mr. Sudeep Rajan Sazu.
Excellency, Mr. Minute Kaupo, Acting Prime Minister, Minister of Fisheries and Trade, Government of Tuvalu, Excellencies, distinguished guests and participants, dear colleagues and friends from the UN system, crop agencies, private sector, academia, and our beautiful young leaders, boys and girls, and ladies and gentlemen. Talofa, good morning. I'd like to take this opportunity to express sincere appreciation to the Government of Tuvalu and the EIF Tuvalu project for preparing and partnering with us, the UNESCAP, for the official launch of the National Trade Development Strategy of Tuvalu 2022-2026 today. This is a significant milestone for Tuvalu. This official launch ceremony signifies the role of national engagement and commitment of the Government of Tuvalu in developing concrete policy strategies to advance the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals 2030 Agenda and the Samoa Pathway. With the active participation and contribution of stakeholders and development partners, we are pleased to witness today this strategy has been linked to the Pacific Regional Cooperation Framework. It also underscores the importance of scaling up of the regional and international solidarity to address the socio-economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic and the climate change vulnerabilities as we face in many of the parts in the Pacific, including in Tuvalu. Over the past 6 months, colleagues at the Ministry of Fisheries and Trade have been working tirelessly to receive feedback and further nurture ideas in building common understanding and strategic priorities of this National Trade Development Framework for Tuvalu. Even though there are significant vulnerabilities posed by the pandemic and the climate change consequences, I'm pleased to note that the Government of Tuvalu has been focused on keeping people and planet at the center of this new National Trade Development Strategy, which is very forward-looking and visionary. The policy recommendation and its related trade action metrics are well positioned to ensure a smooth implementation of the strategy over the next 5 years. In view of this, I call upon all stakeholders and development partners to join forces and to lay the groundwork for meaningful implementation of this strategy. Please allow me again to recognize the commitment and leadership of the Ministry of Fisheries and Trade of Tuvalu in finalizing this important work, which will also contribute to TKT 2021-2030. In conclusion, UNESCAP, indeed, the entire UN family stands ready to work with the Government of Tuvalu and all stakeholders, including the Pacific Island Secretariat, the PIPS, the Pacific Agreement on Closer Economic Relations, the PACIF Plus Implementation Unit, the South Pacific Tourism Organization, SPTO, the World Bank, the Enhanced Integrated Framework, WTO, and other regional and bilateral donors in taking forward the implementation strategy of this very important framework that we are launching today in presence of Honorable Acting Prime Minister. With that, I again congratulate the Government of Tuvalu and wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sudeep, with a wonderful and informative speech. Thank you very much. Again, let's rock ourselves with our Polynesian beat from the beautiful young girls and boys from Motfowa Secondary School. Ito ko fakatas may luwali makilunga Motfowa Secondary School. To move on with our program, it's my honor to invite our guest speaker, whose support we greatly appreciate, and without them, this strategy wouldn't be possible. UNESCAP is a key partner in the development of this strategy, and therefore, to begin with, we invited Ms. Amida Salsaya Alish Sabana, the Under-Secretary General of the United Nations and Executive Secretary of the UNESCAP, for her brief remarks. For your information, this is a pre-recorded video message from the UNESCAP. Ito ko fakatas may luwali magilunga tilaw nga tini.
Excellency Mr. Minuti Taupo, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Fisheries and Trade, Government of Tuvalu, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you to this launch of the Tuvalu National Trade Development Strategy 2022-2026. At the outset, I would like to congratulate the Government of Tuvalu for undertaking the preparation and finalization of this strategy. Since the adoption of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, member states in the Asia-Pacific have been focused on the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. International trade and its related policies and strategies remain as one of the critical enablers. Since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, countries in the region have been impacted severely, especially related to their socio-economic development and prospects. Disruptions in trade and value chain have been one of the defining features that triggered continued pressure on accessing the life-saving drugs as well as basic food items for people, including in the Pacific seas. Overcoming this pandemic-induced supply chain crisis and its impact on trade flows have been a great concern for nations like Tuvalu and other states in the Pacific. Ensuring a smooth recovery, trade can continue to play an important role in securing goods and services for the people and businesses. With the ongoing climate emergencies, Tuvalu, like other Pacific communities, are witnessing severe impact of frequent natural disasters, causing immense socio-economic loss and steady displacement. In view of this, the strategy provides a critical tool to develop a sustainable commercial fishery to optimize revenue from its waters and explore Tuvalu's ecotourism potential. Furthermore, the strategy is expected to bring tangible gains from trade in services, labor mobility schemes, and e-commerce. This strategy also presents a set of practical recommendations on the workforce, the infrastructure, and regulatory framework to promote engagement with businesses and investment over the next 5 years. I am pleased to know that the strategy will further contribute to Tuvalu's TNTDS National Strategy for Sustainable Development 2021-2030. Finally, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the Department of Trade, Ministry of Fisheries and Trade of Tuvalu for their continued leadership and commitment to develop the strategy. I am also thankful to our partner, the Enhanced Integrated Framework, and other regional and sub-regional development partners, Pacific Island Forum Secretariat, and the Pacific Tourism Organization for their excellent engagement in facilitating this initiative. I am confident that Tuvalu is well positioned to leverage trade in transforming its economies and societies while advancing the 2030 Agenda and the Samoa Pathway. UNESCAP, along with the UN system and partners, stands ready to supporting the implementation of this national trade development strategy in Tuvalu. Thank you very much.
Also, our key to the initiation of the strategy is the support from the EIF at WTO. Hence, take this opportunity to watch a pre-recorded message from the Executive Director of EIF, Mr. Ratnagar Atikari.
His Excellency, His Excellency Minat Tapu, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Fisheries and Trade, His Excellency Nicolasi Apenelu, Permanent Secretary of Fisheries and Trade. Good morning to all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today is an important day for Tuvalu as the country takes forward its trade development objectives through a comprehensive roadmap embodied by its National Trade Development Strategy. Tuvalu has displayed extraordinary strength and leadership in the lead up to this National Trade Development Strategy. Faced by the unprecedented challenges of climate change and a global pandemic, the government of Tuvalu has tirelessly worked towards establishing this framework to guide the development of trade for the economic growth of the country. Tuvalu clearly recognizes that trade is a key driver of its success as an island nation. The inclusion of trade as a priority in national development plans has positioned Tuvalu to mobilize further resources to strengthen its private sector and to increase the benefits from trade both regionally and globally. At the center of these efforts is the Tuvalu government leading the way with support from international development partners to seize opportunities and overcome challenges. The Ministry of Fisheries and Trade fully understands the multifaceted nature of trade and the many threats it faces in the space. The environmental challenges of Tuvalu were already evident before COVID-19, but the pandemic has compounded the country's challenging economic context and highlights the growing need for resilience. The Tuvalu National Trade Development Strategy is timely in establishing a clear roadmap towards guiding the country in building resilience. The current challenges also highlight the importance of partnership and cooperation in delivering results. The partners gathered here today, such as UNESCAP and the UN Resident Coordinator Office, are a testimony of this commitment of Tuvalu towards partnership. It is through the partnership between domestic and international stakeholders like the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade or the Pacific Islands Forum Secretariat that the government of Tuvalu has been able to keep the wheel of trade moving in these challenging conditions. We commend Tuvalu's spirit of partnership, which has allowed them to achieve impressive results. As such, this strategy is central to further bringing stakeholders together and support the work ahead. The road ahead is not without adversity, but the government of Tuvalu is already anticipating these challenges. It has started conversations and initiated inquiries about obtaining observer status at the World Trade Organization, which will pave the way for their accession to the WTO. This would further Tuvalu's goal to participate in global trade, thus facilitating its economic development. In coming years, building capacity will remain key to capitalize on gains and keep momentum going. The EIF is currently working with the government to build the capacity of Tuvalu's private sector. An important element of the project is supporting the finalization of a sustainable tourism policy, which will highlight the country's unique offerings coupled with responsible environmental and social practices. Ultimately, the project will position Tuvalu's export in key international and regional markets. It has been a true pleasure to work in concert with the Ministry of Fisheries and Trade all these years, more humbling to see the important milestone achieved, such as the one today. The EIF remains committed to accompanying Tuvalu as it implements this strategy over the coming years. Thank you.
We also acknowledge the assistance and leadership from our UN counterparts towards the development of our strategy, the UN Resident Coordinator, Mr. Sanaka Samashina, and finally, over the course of the development and refinement of the policy aspect of the strategy, we appreciate the technical contribution from our colleagues at the World Bank. Mr. William Gain, the Global Program Manager Trade Facilitation and Border Management from the World Bank. Apology, they sent their apology that unable to attend this event. Let's move on with our program. Let's call back on stage Tambot Forward Secondary School with their wonderful Tuvaluan dance. Lassie. Now I would like to invite our host and chief guest for this event, the Acting Prime Minister and the Minister of Fisheries and Trade, Honorable Minute Taupo, for his keynote address and official launch of the trade strategy. To ito kumailwali mafakata sa kilunga.
The resident coordinator to the Pacific of the United Nations, the executive director of the Enhanced Integrated Framework or the EIF, UNESCAP, the representatives of the UNESCAP, and the representatives of the World Bank and other development partners. Of course, I do not see any colleague ministers around. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, let me thank first all of you for your valued presence on this important occasion and providing me the opportunity, of course, to share my thoughts on this very important events of launching of the Tuvalu's National Trade Development Strategy. Trade, both domestic and global, are important instruments of economic growth and overall development of any country. The flow of goods, services, and ideas across the countries in an unavoidable phenomenon in the present day global world or globalized world. The process of globalization has opened enormous opportunities for global country or global community. It has been realized as a boom in many countries, and however, for small islands, developing states or the SIDS, and least developed countries, the LDCs, like Tuvalu, the benefits of globalization and international trade are yet to be fully realized. Tuvalu is both classified SIDS and LDC. We are one of the smallest among the SIDS and also among the LDCs. Like other SIDS and LDCs, we are largely unable to tap opportunities of international trade in our growth processes. The challenges faced by small and developing states and the least developed countries are indeed of manifold. Weak supply capacity, infrastructural deficiencies, and small economies of scale, and knowledge gap are a few to mention here. The problems are more intensified for very small and isolated seats like Tuvalu. The government of Tuvalu is a proponent of free but fair trade and trade that promises inclusive growth. In this regard, to mainstream our economy with global and regional trading system, we recently ratified the PESA Plus agreement and scrutinizing the costs and benefits of World Trade Organization membership and other trade agreements with the potential countries. Our trade policy framework has identified these integration processes as an important tool for promoting for the promotion of Tuvalu's trade in the region and beyond. We planned high hopes on PESA Plus and expecting expansion of our trade with other Pacific Island countries, including labor mobility, leading to a higher level of growth and quality of life for nothing more but the people of Tuvalu. Now, this is a high time to accord due priority to export businesses for achieving inclusive economic growth. The government is continuing to pursue pragmatic and outward-looking policies that will provide impetus for advancing the trade development agenda. Mainstreaming of trade into national development strategy or program is a key concern and requires a strong coordination mechanism. I understand that Tuvalu National Trade Development Strategy provides such a framework for trade sector development in a holistic way. The government of Tuvalu is committed to align recommended actions of TNTDS into national development plan encompassing various sectoral policies and programs. Nowadays, we are in a very challenging period. COVID-19 pandemic is still ongoing. The issues of global warming and climate change are of high concern for a country like Tuvalu. Russia-Ukraine conflict has further fueled the economic or the global economic crisis. Such multifaceted global crisis requires an innovative and pragmatic policy and administrative discourse at global level as well as national level or at national level for Tuvalu to realize our development vision and goals amidst exposed through a new trade and export development strategy. As indicated in the strategy itself, the Tuvalu National Trade Development Strategy is designed to provide a set of strategies and prioritized actions that can guide the development of trade in Tuvalu over a period of 5 years. I hope the strategy will be of help to government to mainstream trade into national strategies, build a conducive environment for business, build supply side capacities in priority sectors of Tuvalu, such as fisheries, agriculture, tourism, and labor with its labor mobility aspects. Build capacity, engagement, and coordination among the key stakeholders, both public and private, and strengthen capacity to access aid for trade program. I wish to thank all of those who were involved in the preparation of the Tuvalu National Trade Development Strategy, directly or indirectly. I know it is not easy as there are so many constraints to work against the limitations that we continue to face. But be that as it may, I thank the private sector, civil society, non-governmental organizations, and government departments that were involved in this important work. I trust also our development partners, and I thank them for that, their involvement. The United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific, or the UNESCAP, the Enhanced Integrated Framework EIF, World Trade Organization or the WTO, the Pacific Islands Forum Secretariat or the PIF, the PESA Plus Implementation Unit or the PPIU, the South Pacific Tourism Organization, SPTO, the World Bank, and the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, for making this possible. At the end, I would like to highlight that a more challenging task is ahead. We have to implement this strategy in a timely manner. I would like to ensure Tuvalu government's full commitment to implement the strategy, and that I mean strong political will. However, our own efforts and resources may not be sufficient for this huge task. Therefore, we look forward to the support and active engagement of our development partners and the private sector in the promotion of Tuvalu's trade, making it a good engine of economic growth. Instruments for LDC graduation and smooth transition from LDC status of the country. I thank you. I thank everyone for your patience and your time to be with us now. And of course, I don't see quite a lot of people, but we'll try in the next launching, perhaps the second phase of this strategy, to attract more audiences and I guess more interest of our people to participate more in our trade related activities for nothing else but one component and element to strengthen or to enhance our economic growth and economic development. Ladies and gentlemen, Faftailahi, Tuvalu Modiatu.
Thank you, Acting Prime Minister, for your wonderful remarks. And Tino kami famolo to ipatimay lualima for the official launch of the Trade Development Strategy. Sa ilang na na to itukmay lualima fakatasi. For your information, that the Tuvalu National Trade Development Strategy will be available for download online later today. So we'll provide the site for you to go and download for those who are interested to read our strategy. To move on with our program, may I invite it back on stage the Motofowa Secondary School with their last item. To ito ko fakatas may luali magilunga in Motofowa. tu fratas mai lo ali makinungai boy somot foam telas si item halato ite tu don deneng. Tu fratas mai lo alima. Please add on to the contribution of the EIF to the development strategy. As we come to the end of our program, may I invite the EIF manager and also a citizen of Maitupu, Mr. Dara Iqbal, for his closing remarks.
Acting Prime Minister and Minister for Fisheries and Trade, Honorable Minute Taupo, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to deliver a few closing remarks after our rich and exciting launch of Tuvalu's National Trade Development Strategy. A lot has already been said by our distinguished speakers on how to make inclusive development a reality for Tuvalu and the role of key actors and partners such as all of you are here today. This time I would like to applaud our key partners, UNESCAP, the EIF and the World Bank Trade Division for their contribution towards this strategy. Also, this wouldn't be possible without our national stakeholders, Fafta Lassi to all our government officials, our private sector, our NGOs, our academia, for your feedback and assistance during the consultation phases on the development of this strategy. We'd also take this opportunity to thank our regional partners, the PIPS, PPIU, Pacific Tourism Organization, and the UNDP office for their tremendous support during the inception workshops right up to the validation workshop where this strategy was finalized. And also to the Department of Trade, congratulations on this remarkable initiative, which creates a new platform, a new framework, a new plan to engage diverse partners and actors who are passionately involved in finding solutions to enhance the trade agenda for Tuvalu. We have heard about challenges we face, the battle against climate change, which has been further compounded by the COVID-19 pandemic, which further is disrupted by the supply chains, our shipping schedules. But we have also heard of solutions. which has been echoed several times today. And one key point that has been echoed by all our speakers this morning is collaboration between partners. We've also heard of significant opportunities. We have a map and that the world has already agreed on, which is the Sustainable Development Goals, and that Tuvalu has embraced. And this strategy, in its preparation, has incorporated several factors from the SDGs. We need partnerships to make the best out of these opportunities. As one proverb goes, and maybe you've already heard of this proverb, it says, coming together is the beginning. Staying together is progress. But working together is successful. So we need partnerships to galvanize Tuvalu's creative, intellectual, and entrepreneurial potential. We need to bring together diverse disciplines, sectors to upscale Tuvalu's own innovative solutions. And we need partnerships that create equal opportunities for men, for women, young and old, from the national level, regional, and international level, all collaborating to assist and accelerate Tuvalu's development. Leaders, entrepreneurs, and development actors all have a critical role to play in realizing the goals of our common agenda for sustainable development. This is the moment to look forward and work together to deliver Tuvalu's national trade agenda and shape the future we want for Tuvalu. With those few words, ladies and gentlemen, thank you and Faftelasi.
Faftai Tero with your closing remarks. Now we have come to the conclusion of our program, and I hope you have enjoyed what we have prepared for you. Also on this note, I would like to thank each ministries and stakeholders for the support rendered to us throughout our consultations. Also take this opportunity to thank all those joining us virtually as well for this launch. To those who work behind the scene, my team, the Trade Department, thank you very much for your hard work. Profound gratitude once again to the UNESCAP, UNDP, EIF, World Bank, PIFS, PPIU, SPTO, all our regional and international stakeholders, government department, private sectors, stakeholders, and our local consultant, Mr. Taukelina, for all your overwhelming support and cooperation. And we look forward to working with you all in the implementation of the activities set out in the action metrics. Finally, let me take this opportunity to say a huge fafdelasi to our acting Prime Minister and Minister for Fisheries and Trade and his senior management team for this playing excellent leadership over the course of the development of the strategy up until its launch today. Please, after the closing prayer, may I invite each and everyone inside this room to come up to the front for a group photo. Thank you for your cooperation. And after the photo shooting, I would like to invite everyone for lunch at the back of the TPCC and also on the stage. May I now ask Reverend Kalafi Tinipua to officially close us with a word of prayer. Manuia Teaso.
E whakatatou ki se tālosanga whaistou talo. Whaaftai whakamalo te atua a whai o taunum te manuia a whakamoemoenga o te asu tenei. Usai e to walofa kau whakatasi, to walofa mafuta mai mo mātou te liki. Kai ko mātou i tālosanga, pēnā o tū maumai au whakamanuianga. Lunga o au whanau, ngā lue whakatino lo tō tūsanga, usai te whakamoemoenga o te asu tenei. Ni ai tula ko itoenga o te aso, kolokalame ko itoenga, whakamanuia ne ko te atua. Pai vaingam se tonunga mātou, whakamanga lumani. Ona ko Yesu. Amen.
Te tuku whakatas mai lua lima, whaftailasi Reverend Kalafi Tinipua mo te pononga tātou te lotu i te tūton tēnei, ka tiko te atu whakilo mai lunga ia maua, a ke manuia te aso, Tuvalu mo te atua. So may I invite all of us to come to the front ke peito atam te minister whakatasi. Ko lei tātou sa sali ki tu au lunch. Whaftailasi. Moko tola sige saina to sige tusi to ingoy ngai te registration te lama to. Amol mo ko tusi luai ngoa te me ma se tong te fa ngai ta to te ni. Tak tai lasi.
Ito ko whenua e aku tangi e aku tupunga e aku tangi ito ko whenua e aku tangi e aku tupunga whenua tene ko toku toku whenua tene ko toku ola toku whenua awe makaka tene toku whenua
Amol mo ko mai ko luak na lo kita to kai fra nga tu me kai ma moko.